completely different, but he got the blame for some of it. You have Mary Noble, who's raised about $400,000 plus. So even though she's number one in the polls, she is not the number one finance getter. She's not the money person. Woodard is up $600.
Well, I mean, I hate to do this to you, but there was a certain woman, Hillary Clinton, who raised billions of dollars and still lost. So money is not the harbinger of winning. It's not the harbinger of winning.
That was my actual point. That even though Mary Noble is at 400,000, Mary Noble is still number one in all the polling.
Kwanzaa Hall raised the most money within this reporting period. He came from nowhere to raise over $300,000.
Right.
Correct.
I think
does that portend?
I don't think this. I don't.
Electoral clout and money raising clout.
I think it does. I think though this race, and you guys said the issues that you just said, I agree wholeheartedly with. Money doesn't fight those issues. The common African American, and by the way, Mary Norwood only lost that runoff by 700 votes. So clearly she has a huge number of She has a huge number of African American supporters. If you make the mistake of painting Mary as some white Republican from Buckhead who doesn't care about black people, that will reverse itself on you because she's in the community regularly. Right. And I'm not endorsing anybody, but I will say this. The issues come down to this. If you're on a city council, if you're a mayor, if you've been there, and the issue is, I don't know, name one that you guys name, gentrification. How do I sit back and say, what, you're going to fight gentrification and you allowed it to happen in the first place? Or let's say it's schools. You're going to now fix the schools and you've been there for years and you weren't able to fix them then? And if the mayor that's been the last two-term mayor, who's been at war with Atlanta Public Schools, anybody that he supports can't tell me they're going to fix the schools. And anybody that he supports, gentrification, it's been under his watch that you knocked down a whole bunch of projects and built $500,000 condos.
Are we just counting anybody, or are we just counting somebody like Peter Annan? Are we just counting somebody like Keisha Lance Bottoms? I mean, it's early.
She's been put there by the mayor.
Yeah, that's going to hurt her.
Sterling's been put there by the mayor. I was making the argument that John Eves recently got in because of the mayor. And they're all been put there to hurt Caesar. And I mean, I'm looking at the lay of the land. Why does a one-term congresswoman, a city councilwoman, think that she can win the a local citywide race? She never ran citywide.
It's a very interesting
She has run citywide, but I'm saying she's a one-term councilman.
It's a very interesting play. Let us not forget this. The reason why Kasim Reed won in that runoff was because of the Georgia Democratic Party. Let's talk about what they did that they had never done before. The Georgia Democratic Party, they do not historically get involved in city council races because city council races are nonpartisan races. In the runoff, I was working for the Georgia Democratic Party. I became the political director later for the Democratic Party. What they did is they sent out a mailer to tens and thousands of people throughout the city of Atlanta. And they told all these Democrats who had supported Mary Noble the first time that she was actually a Republican, that her husband gave money to the Republican Party. This was all the mailer. All the mailer. Out of all of those tens of thousands of people that mailer went to, you don't think at least 700 people changed their mind.
But here's the thing.
I don't think the party is going to get involved like that again because it was not a symbiotic relationship once Kasim Reed became mayor. He did.
And that's all you did. I mean, if Mary Norwood would have gone to an historical black church that had been there for hundreds of years and threatened them with eminent domain to build $1 billion football stadium,
we absolutely would have said she was racist.
Absolutely, you would have. Absolutely. Without a shadow of a doubt.
Yeah.
And I'm not endorsing anybody. I'd like to see Vincent Ford versus Mary Norwood because then the city of Atlanta and its residents can make a decision between a real choice between two people.
That's the real choice.
What surprises me, we rarely see this name mentioned. Here's a guy with the most political capital and the most money. I mean, city council president. We rarely see mentioned in the breadth of many people he's talked to about a possible winner.
I think he is a possible winner. I think he's a possible winner. I think Kwanzaa Hall is a possible winner as well. Remember, during the first time Kasim Reed ran, he was right now at 3.8%. So let's not forget how far he came because one, his ground game was immaculate. He had over 300 canvassers every day knocking on doors, and it transitioned his narrative. So I think that will have to happen with Kwanzaa. That will have to happen with Caesar Mitchell as well. And they actually are now getting the money to do it.
Here's the difference, though, and I don't disagree with you. I'm just saying the difference. The difference is then you really only had Kasim. We worked with Jesse Spikes, but he wasn't a top tier candidate. Lisa Borders had dropped out, then made the mistake, got back in. At that point, she was left behind. That was done already. And then Caesar, after about 2 months from now, Caesar made the quick announcement he was running for city council president and dropped out of the mayor's race or contention for the mayor's race. So the difference was it came down to the strongest young black candidate. Remember now, we just came off the heels of November, right before that, the November before, when Barack Obama got elected.
Yeah.
So there was a whole lot of headwind behind a young brother like that. I think this time, and I say this again and again, this time, to answer your question about Caesar, and I love Caesar. I hope Caesar is there at the end. But the thing is, in the voter's mind, your everyday voter, they don't see Caesar any differently than they see Kasim. And so if you had issues with Kasim, then you're going to have issues with Caesar.
They both represent City Hall.
They both represent the same thing.
The black faces are getting a lot of the blame for the corruption coming out of City Hall. Mary Norwood is immune to that stigma because she's a white female.
But also, she's on city council.
Yeah, but she's not getting her.
No, it doesn't skip to her because she's been quote unquote fighting City Hall for decades. Vincent Ford, well, I mean, but that's
she says she has.
Well, I mean, that's kind of the, if you're not there, then you're not there, you know. And Vincent Ford has that same battle cry too. Yeah. That's his whole campaign. Look at these guys that have been rigging cities. And the thing is, it's not whether anybody did anything illegal or anything, because I don't think that's going to come down to it. I think the people who did something wrong will get caught and it won't be tied to any of these politicians. But if you're not one of the connected in this city, it is virtually impossible to get any business done. And people know that. People know that. There's no secret if you don't know Jackson hospitality guy who runs the entire apparatus in the state of Georgia for black people. If you don't know him, you're not getting a contract at the airport. I mean, we know this. It's not corrupt. It's not nasty. It's not illegal. But you know what you know.
They're the players.
They're the players. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. I'm just telling the truth.
Black elected officials come to the end here. Well, have we seen our last black mayor? Is this the coup d'etat?
I believe that you may have. And I don't think it's because, I think it's because of our own fault. You had a base of support at Bankhead and Carver Heights and Bankhead, all these projects. You had your base.
Right. And we got rid of
Under Shirley Franklin, you moved in Renee Glover, Atlanta Housing Authority, you dropped these projects, you dispersed the black people throughout the diaspora of the metro Atlanta area, and now you moved in a condo of $500,000 owners, and now you're sitting around saying, oh, where's my black support? Well, you threw them out. You threw them out. And now, when you don't have a black mayor, the problem's going to become, I'm not going to say it's the white man's fault or anything like that, you move people out. You physically move them out.
Yeah.
So this could be
I concur.
Ladies and gentlemen. Excuse me?
Let's do the audience. Let's take some questions. Let me have your mic.
Yes, sir.
And you know what's name.
Yes, Mr. Welcome. You can have my microphone.
Thank you. I'm glad you recognize who you're talking to.
See, now you want to talk that?
All right. Let me just say a couple of things. We're going to take some questions from the audience, because I think all of you want to chime in on this. Anybody want to chime in on this? Going once? Going twice?
We'll say it now.
Well, they really put it down, didn't they?
Show's over.
Going good. All right. I want to chime in. Here's the thing. There's a bunch of facts that you guys are quoting that really don't make sense. Now, let me tell you why. As you know, Newsmakers, when the first go around, endorsed Mary Norwood. We endorsed Mary Norwood. The only reason Mary Norwood didn't win that election was that she was afraid to go down that Cascade corridor during the last 2 weeks of the election. She was winning, but she refused to walk down there. Whereas Kasim unleashed the wolves on the Cascade corridor. You follow me?
Now, what doesn't make sense that I've said?
Okay, now I'm not saying it doesn't make sense. I'm saying what
That's what you said.
I said a lot of the things that were said didn't make sense. For instance, a real good example of what I saw happening out here. Y'all talking about Caesar doesn't have the ground game or something of that magnitude. That what you guys don't know is Caesar Mitchell has been raising money for regular people via his wife Soraz and all that.
Jim, what makes you think I don't know that?
Well, because you indicated, I didn't say you, I'm not picking you out in particular, I'm just saying in general.
I didn't say
a
nothing
lot
bad
of
about
information.
Caesar's ground game.
What
So
I'm
you
saying,
No, I didn't say anything bad about the ground game either, because I think has campuses that are knocking
No,
on
what
doors.
I'm saying is that this cat is out here, and he's been out here strong. Just because he's not in the papers does not mean he's not in the hood. And that's my point.
Who's saying that? Nobody said that.
Nobody said that.
We're talking about from the perspective of him being competitive with the other candidates. I've been on Caesar Mitchell for years. He was helping fundraisers for me at the Democratic Party.
Talk about the competitiveness.
So him being competitive with some of these other guys, what Caesar said, what Shelley said about him having a shared base, that's just political fact.
No, I'm not
He
talking about-
shares a base
No, what I'm
with some of the other candidates that Vincent Ford won't share with him, and that Barry Norwood won't share with him.
Well, I disagree.
And my point
I disagree with the assessment that Caesar is identified by the masses as part of that institution.
Well, some people have, but see, I get that. I actually get the technical.
I really do believe that part of
And the reason, let me just say the reason I'm saying that. I've been to over the last year probably, or my wife or my daughter has gone to at least 4 fundraisers for Caesar among those sorors and those educators and some really grassroots people in the city. A lot of that, I was surprised to see the nature of the people in the room for Caesar. I expected to see a more elitist crowd, which I didn't.
Right.
All right,
Okay,
so
so my point being is that the racial man, and then there's another factor that nobody's taking into consideration.
Well, let's deal with one.
Let me just get this second part out. This is very
Okay,
important.
all right.
You have a white woman in Mary Norwood running for mayor, but you have a white man in Peter Allen running for mayor. Don't discount that white male influence in America right now. I think that in some white quarters among white males, they'd rather have anybody other than a white woman.
Well, that's true for some people, but I don't think that's.
But I think-
That's what I'm saying. You're just throwing something out
Yeah,
there.
I don't
There's
think
no
that's
basis in
statistically
fact.
true
There's no
for
basis in
overall.
fact.
I'm talking about literally what in this country is the general feeling.
Yeah, we're talking about the city of Atlanta,
Okay.
and in the city of Atlanta, that's an entirely different conversation. Let me say this.
She wouldn't have lost by 740 votes if
Jim,
that would have came.
allow me to say this about Caesar Mitchell. Caesar Mitchell's candidacy absolutely has been connected to the corruption at City Hall. And the reason, even though it's wrongfully connected, the reason why I know that is because I've had callers call my show. I've had people email me and inbox me on Facebook asking, is this the same thing? When I had a conversation with LA, who works for Caesar Mitchell, LA came to me and said, Rashad, people are thinking that the corruption from City Hall, is connected to the campaign disclosure report of Caesar Mitchell. I said, here's what we'll do, LA. Have him come on my show. We'll make sure that we stop people from conflating the two and explain the difference. And that's exactly what Caesar Mitchell did.
My thing is, I say in the minds of many voters, they're one and the same. If I have it, and I said this clearly, if I have as a voter a problem with Kasim, I don't see the next African American lawyer, well-rounded, well-spoken, connected to the business power structure, being anything different than Kasim. He might be entirely different. I know Caesar personally, I know he's different. I'm saying in the mind of the voter, when I go to the polls, you're not going to tell me I need to elect just the African American anymore, because the guy that was just there for 8 years did everything but take care of African Americans.
Well, this is Atlanta, and if you believe that, all I can say
I
is
don't
that
believe it. I'm telling you what the voter says.
Atlanteans, black Atlanteans, no matter what you may think, will come out en masse to make another black man the mayor of the city. Now, whether or not they get outvoted by white people and others is another thing. But I promise you that 98% of the black vote will vote for a black candidate.
Yeah, but that wasn't even.
In the city of Atlanta. No, I'm just responding to what you said.
But that wasn't even.
That didn't happen the last time.
98%
So you
of
can't
black
say
people
that
didn't
this
even-
time.
Yeah, it did.
No, it
No,
didn't.
98% of black
Mary
people
Norwood
did
got
not
about
vote
20%
for
of the
black.
black vote.
She got less than 20%. She got about
But-
30. I think Erica's here right now.
All right,
You
we
know that
can do
number?
the stats on it, but 98% of
You know
black
what
folk don't even vote
percentage of the
Democrat.
black vote she got?
She received like 21% of the vote.
Thank you,
Thank
Thank you.
Thank you.
All
Thank
right.
you, sister.
All right, well, see, we got.
No, we're just not gonna throw shit out that we think we know.
Yeah,
Sorry.
no. But at the end of the day, that's what happened, and she lost. and she lost for the reason that I
I'm
said.
mad at you, Jim. You got me agreeing with this guy.
Yeah, but you guys, listen, that was my object, to prove that you guys are one and the same. This has been Newsmakers.